This actually follows the same pattern that has happened with so many of these fields of forensic science, arson science, handwriting analysis. A lot of forensic science is basically bullshit that's used to pressure someone to confess or to pressure someone to take a plea deal. So was it 90%, 90 some percent of federal cases? It's like 98 or 99% are pled out because they throw so many charges at the person that basically if they don't confess and take a plea deal, then they're facing, life in prison, and instead they get 2 years. So they use this bullshit forensic science to threaten people and things like that. Now, it also locks up a lot of people that are innocent. One of the things that I mentioned in these episodes of Government Secrets, check out the podcast if you have time, was that of the many forms of forensic science that are either complete horseshit, like bite mark analysis, or partial horseshit, was bullet analysis, matching a bullet to a certain gun and saying, oh, it was absolutely this gun that killed so-and-so. Well, here's a little update. The Supreme Court of Maryland has ruled that firearm experts can no longer testify that a bullet definitely came from a specific gun. Now, this is shocking in a lot of ways. As with other forensic fields, this bullet analysis has been used to indict, lock up, pressure, force confessions out of hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands, but definitely thousands of people across America over the years, where they lie. They say this bullet, it's used to win over juries all the time. This bullet absolutely came from this gun, and it is his gun. And the whole jury goes, and they go, oh my God. Expert witnesses can no longer testify in court that a bullet involved in a crime was fired from a particular gun based on firearm identification techniques, the Supreme Court of Maryland ruled Tuesday. Firearm identification asserts guns leave unique patterns and marks on bullets, the opinion said, and that experts can use them to link casings from a crime scene to a specific gun. Based on the record here, and particularly the lack of evidence that study results are reflective of actual casework, firearms identification has not been shown to reach reliable results linking a particular unknown bullet to a particular known firearm. 3 justices dissented. The identification method is commonly used as evidence in court and has been the backbone of countless prosecutions, according to Jeffrey Gillerin, chief attorney of the Forensics Division of the Maryland Office of the Public Defender. Gillerin estimates it may have been used as evidence in hundreds of cases per year in Maryland and that it has been used for decades. Studies have questioned the ability of ballistic experts to produce accurate, repeatable, and reproducible results, prompting Maryland's High Court to rule that firearm experts cannot use it to testify. A specific bullet came from a specific gun. So this actually follows the same pattern. Now, this is just Maryland, keep in mind. This is not nationally, but this actually follows the same pattern that has happened with so many of these fields of forensic science, arson science, handwriting analysis, bite mark analysis, blood spatter analysis. All of these, they popped up. Usually one scientist, quote unquote, is not a scientist, but one doctor who claims to be the expert on blood spatter. Well, guess what? When the guy who said he's the expert on blood spatter first arrived on the scene, there was no school of blood spatter. There was evidence. There was no curriculum. There was no university. You can't get a degree in it. So he invented it all. He goes, I've come up with blood spatter analysis, and you can now go to my school and get certified as a blood spatter analysis expert. And then all these people go to his bullshit school that he made up, and they get a thing saying, I'm an expert on blood spatter. And then they go into courts and they're used to testify around the country that, oh yeah, according to the way this drip fell on this wall, that means that the killer is Steve. And Steve goes, what? And they go, yeah, just because you could tell from the angle and the pattern, and Steve did it. And they use it to lock up all kinds of people, usually people that they wanted to lock up, the people that are people of color, people that are poorer, people that can't have a strong and adamant defense, can't have a $1 million lawyer there. They're usually not used to lock up millionaires and billionaires who have those giant law firms at their disposal. And the pattern is then the spatter pattern is then, after it's been used for decades and decades, as bullet casing science, quote unquote, has, then someone goes, excuse me, mate, have we actually tested this? And then someone goes, who's that guy? Who let him in? And someone goes and tests it. And all of a sudden, guess what? Yeah, some of them might work occasionally. Occasionally, you might get it right that a certain casing came from a certain gun, but it's not science and it's not perfect. And yet you have all these experts going up there and going, 100%. The casing fell on the floor. It had a mark on it like this. It shows that Linda beat that guy to death. And it's not 100%. And even with fingerprints, there is, which are more reliable than, say, bite marks, which are like 0. But even with fingerprints, there is not, it's not actually been proven that everybody in the world has different fingerprints. So there could be almost the same fingerprints. Also, you can measure fingerprints differently. They can use a certain number of peaks and valleys. Sometimes they use 5, sometimes they use 8. So it doesn't have to be identical. It could just, they found these 5 peaks on the fingerprint. Also, most fingerprints found, they're partial fingerprints. They're not even the whole fingerprint. There's a lot of things going on there, but of course, they never tell juries this. Instead, a jury has just seen all these Law and Order, had their head filled with all Law and Order SVU garbage and all the shit, all the propaganda that's across our TV screens every day. You flip it on, there's somebody with a badge going, I will protect everybody, and I found the murderer. And then we take all that in, and it mixes with our brain, and it just adheres on there like a parasite of ignorance. And so everybody sitting on the jury goes, I've seen Law and Order SVU. If they got a fingerprint, then that means he's guilty. If they got a bite mark, then that means Steve did do it. Yet, when someone goes and tests these things, when you actually hold them up to science, right, they tend to fall apart, or at least not be 100%. So now at least Maryland has said that they no longer can say it's 100%. They can, however, have so-called ballistics experts say that it's likely that it's the same bullet. I think they're still allowed to do that.